See, I come from a really small town, actually. Population 814 people. There's always one person that says, I know. The worst part, though, wasn't coming from a small town, because there's nothing wrong with small towns, but I was the most unpopular person in the town. I don't just mean the school. It's definitely unpopular there, but I mean the town. People didn't like me, and I was different, and I can sense that. So going to school was not exactly a pleasure for me. I was picked on every single day. I was bullied like you wouldn't believe. I was called names. I had things written on my folder. People would shove me into lockers. They would spread these terrible rumors about me and say horrible things, and the teachers would smirk and turn their heads. So everybody bullied me. It was horrible. And then I found this wonderful magical place that's made of bully kryptonite. It's called the library. It turns out bullies don't go there. I don't think that they're aware that there is a library in the school, but they don't go to the library. So I started hiding out in the library at a very young age. And my librarian was wonderful. She would give me so many books, just piles and piles of books, and I devoured them all. I read every single one she gave me. So I really attribute my decision to become an author to a librarian. Because one day, I was 12 years old, and I had just finished reading Stephen King's Carrie. How many of you read Carrie? Yeah, right? It's like, if you haven't read Carrie, you have to. It's so good. So I read Carrie, and it was the first time I'd ever said it out loud. I closed the book, and I said, that's what I want to be. I want to be an author. And I was so excited because I'm 12, and I found my calling in life. It was a big deal. I mean, that's a big deal when you're 30, let alone 12. So I run home and I go, Dad, I know what I want to be. I want to be an author. And he said, you can't. You can't be an author. Authors are people with trust funds. You need to get a real job. Now, I was 12. I didn't know what a real job was, but it sounded awful, and I did not want one. So I was a little crestfallen, and I went to my mom and said, Mom, oh my calling, I want to be an author. And she said, you can't. You need to get your feet on the ground and your head out of the clouds and be realistic. You need a real job. I was heartbroken. These are my dreams. This is what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It was my soul. I've been writing stories since I was 5. And they said no. So I went to teachers who said no. I went to the librarian that I loved so much, and she said, Heather, this is not realistic. People don't grow up and have jobs like that. They certainly don't make... Should I answer? Who's calling? They're in trouble. So the librarian told me no. Everybody told me no. And I let go of my dreams. I had to. I had to let it go because in the world I was growing up in, people got real jobs. So many years later, more years than Auntie Heather cares to admit, I was a stay-at-home mom. And my youngest daughter, who's 9 now, her name is Alex, she was raised in kindergarten. And I looked at my husband and I said, man, what am I going to do? I don't have a college education. I really have no drive to do anything. So I need a real job. She's going to school. I have to do something. That's what you do. And he looked at me and he said, well, what do you want to be? Just anything. If money didn't matter, what do you want to be? And so, expecting the answer that I'd always received, I said, well, I want to be an author. And then he said 3 words that completely changed my life. He said, so be one. And at first I'm like, what do you mean, so be one? You can't just be an author. I mean, that's for people with trust funds. And then I realized what I was doing. I realized I was telling myself no, the same way all of those people were telling me no. And that's the worst thing you can do. Stop yourself from following your dreams. So for me, it took one person to tell me yes. It took one person to believe in me and tell me it's okay to try. And today I want to be that one person for you. Whatever you want to be. You want to be a writer? You want to be a sculptor? You want to be a basketball star? I don't care what it is. I believe in you. You can do it. I am living proof that you can walk from nothing and have everything in just a few short years. All you have to do is believe in yourself and don't listen to the no's, especially the one that you tell yourself. So, I decided, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to be an author. And I wrote a book. It was horrible. I thought at the time it was great, but turns out no. It was rejected by literary agents, first you send it to an agent, and the agent sells it to publishers. It was rejected by literary agents 248 times. It was that bad, yeah. Then I ran out of agents, so I had to write another book. So I wrote another book, and it was rejected 98 times. Getting better, right? No, only because I stopped sending it out. I did not want to be rejected another 248 times. So I asked myself, I said, all right, self, because that's what I call me. Self, what do you know? Because they say you write what you know. I said, all right, I'm going to make a list, because I'm a Virgo, and we dig lists. So number 1, I know what it feels like to be unpopular. Number 2, I know teenagers. I'm 36 years old, but I never quite got past 16. And my house is always like the resident teen hangout, I think for that reason, because I'm really immature. So I'm like, all right, I'm a popular teenager. Okay, I need a third thing, because everything I know cannot be summed up in 2 things. There has to be something else. And I realized, oh, vampires. I know vampires. I mean, when I was little, I ate Count Chocula cereal, but not for the cereal, for the guy on the box. You know? I watched Sesame Street. Any guesses why? The Carol? Yeah, one cheeseburger. I loved him. He was awesome. So I said, okay. And I mean, when I was 11, I read Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, quick poll. How many of you consider yourself vampire fans? Hands up. All right, keep your hands up. If you have read Bram Stoker's Dracula, put your hands down. All right. Now see the remaining few with the hands up still that consider yourself vampire fans? We have to talk. The reason we have to talk is this. All the really excellent vampire fiction stems from Bram Stoker's Dracula. So, what I want you to do, after we're all done partying, I want you to grab booksellers and say, please, you've got to direct me to Dracula because I have to read it right now. And then go in and read it because it's amazing and it will change your life. Anyway, back to my list. So everything I know is summed up in 3 things on my list. Unpopular, teenage, vampire. And then I had this image of this boy in my head. He had black hair, and it hung in his eyes, and he had fangs. And I knew his name was Vlad. And all at once, like in a blink, I knew his story. And when I say I knew his story, I don't mean that I just knew 8th grade bites. I mean, I knew all 5 books.